Hello, I'm Bernard Norcott-Mahany. I work at the Bluford branch of the Kansas City Public Library. April is National Poetry Month. During the month of April 2025, I am reading poems from River Anthology by Edgar Lee Masters. This collection of poems that was published in 1915 has the sort of premise that we were on the hill, which is the graveyard for Spoon River, Illinois, which is a fictional town, but it's based on an actual town, Lewistown. And that as we wander through, we see gravestones, and as we see these gravestones, we see we can hear the voices of the people who are dead. So I'm reading 3 or so of these each day, and today I'm going to be reading Lucius Atherton, Homer Clapp, and Deacon Taylor. Lucius Atherton. When my mustache curled and my hair was black and I wore tight trousers and a diamond stud, I was an excellent knave of hearts and took many a trick. But when the gray hairs began to appear, lo, a new generation of girls laughed at me, not fearing me, and I had no more exciting adventures, wherein I was all but shot for a heartless devil. But only drabby affairs warmed over affairs and other days and other men. And time went on until I lived at Meyer's restaurant, partaking of short orders, a gray, untidy, toothless, discarded, rural Don Juan. There is a mighty shade here who sings of one named Beatrice, and I see now that the force that made him great drove me to the dregs of life. So this is the playboy who had seduced Anna Klute and it had ruined her life, and he himself, of course, eventually sort of falls apart. He's no longer the young stud picking up women, but rather sort of an old guy in a restaurant, in a cheap diner restaurant. Homer Clapp. Often Anna Klute at the gate refused me the parting kiss, saying we should be engaged before that. And just with a distant clasp of the hand, she bade me good night as I brought her home from the skating rink or the revival. No sooner did my departing footsteps die away than Lucius Atherton, so I learned when Anna went to Peoria, stole in at her window, or took her riding behind his spanking team of bays into the country. The shock of it made me settle down, and I put all the money I got from my father's estate into the canning factory to get the job of head accountant, and lost it all. And then I knew I was one of life's fools, whom only death would treat as the equal of other men, making me feel like a man. So here's this poor schlub, Homer Clapp, who had been in love with Anna Klute. Of course, she was seduced by Lucius Atherton and then went away to Peoria, then to Chicago and various other places. He reforms his life, I guess becomes a woman hater or something, and decides to take his father's money, buy the canning factory so that he can get a job there as the head accountant, but he isn't that good at it apparently, and he loses that money. Deacon Taylor. I belonged to the church and to the party of prohibition, and the villagers thought I died of eating watermelon. In truth, I had cirrhosis of the liver. For every noon for 30 years, I slipped behind the prescription partition in Trainer's drugstore and poured a generous drink from the bottle marked Spiritus Frumenti. So here we have a secret drunk, Deacon Taylor, who ostensibly is a part of the Prohibition Party, a member of the church, but he has this drinking problem, which ultimately does him in. So there we saw Lucius Atherton, Homer Clapp, and Deacon Taylor.